everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. Part 2, Thanksgiving Wines. As promised, I'm going to do it. I'm on my lunch break. It's cold outside, you can tell. I got the hoodie on because it's cold outside. It's not going to snow, thank goodness. I'm not much of a snow guy. If you want snow, go to the mountains. That's where it belongs. So we're continuing on the theme of Thanksgiving wines. We did a couple of Pinot Noirs yesterday. I found actually very surprised at how good they were. We did a Cava and we did a sparkling wine from Canada. All very excellent wines. It was a great program, good values. Now we're going to do a couple of different things. We're going to start off with probably one of the most popular sparkling wines on the market today. That's Prosecco. I can remember when Prosecco started to take off. It was around 1997. 96, 97. No, 2007. 2006, 2007. Sorry. Maybe on the East Coast. Getting way ahead of myself. I remember in 06 and 07, it really started to come on the market, and people really started to look seriously at Prosecco. It's an Italian sparkling wine from Veneto. Valdobbiadene is the region it's from. Prosecco is also Glera is the name of the grape, but now you can call it Prosecco. That's how popular it's become. They said, well, let's just call the grape Prosecco. Originally, they used to call it just Glera. And Prosecco is the DOC, the region. Valdobbiadene is one of the towns in that area, and Veneto is the broader area that it's from. This rolls in at $14.50. This is Bissell J.O. Prosecco. I remember when this was one of the premium ones that came on the market. We sold a ton of it in the store. Now there's so many more on the market. It's starting to, smaller pieces of the pie in the larger picture. Let's see what we get on the nose. So I get a lot of pears and apples right off the bat. Somewhat challenging on the nose. You don't really, Prosecco is done in the Charmat method, so they do it in big steel tanks. They get the malolactic going, they get the bubbles. They trap the bubbles in this, device as they bottle it, and that's what Prosecco is. So you don't get that, you don't get any of the Lee's influence on it. Now there are Proseccos that have that, but in this case that's not the case. You get a really clean, I always call it Avion with bubbles. Very clean, very delicious wine. Yeah, I get a little bit of apple pie spice, which I think is interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. Good fruit. I really like the fruit on this. It's dry. It's done in the Brut style, so you're going to have a drier style wine. But good apple pie. I get apple pie, which is curious because there's no oak influence, but that's just a grape. The grape has that kind of apple pie flavor coming through, the apples from the apple pie, not the crust. Just the apples in an apple pie is what I'm getting. A little bit of lemon, just a hair, more like the Myers lemon, the sweeter lemon coming through. Get a little bit of herbal component on the back end, which I like. This is very clean, very delicious, very good Prosecco. If you want an example of what Prosecco can be, this is a classic example of it. The bubbles are a little bit big, but no, it just and it lingers on the backside. I get kind of that apples and an apple pie thing going on. A little bit of pear coming through, and a little bit of that herbal component. I find all very intriguing. I'm going to go B+ on A- on that. I like that Prosecco quite a bit. And I always have. I've always been a big fan of it. It's nice to retry it. I haven't tried J.O. Prosecco in a long time. Really like it a lot, and I understand now why I have been a fan of it. Let's move on. One wine that many people would maybe not consider. Now, Prosecco, of course, you could serve it with a meal, but you know, a lot of people like to have bubbles before, after dinner sort of thing. So, you know, bubbles are a big part of Thanksgiving. Maybe not necessarily with the meal, but they could be, for sure. Now we're going to move on to a varietal that maybe a lot of you wouldn't think of with Thanksgiving, but it's one that I always kind of sell at the store. I really like to sell it. I like to get people kind of excited about it, and that's Roussanne. Now Roussanne is mainly a Rhone varietal from the southern Rhone, excuse me, and it's blended with Côte de Rhone Blanc, Chateauneuf du Pape Blanc. They use Roussanne predominantly in those wines. Sometimes they blend it with Syrah. But anyway, Roussanne, this is from California. It's Writer's Block, one of Steele's second labels. Lake County's Roussanne. And this is 2013, and it rolls in at $15. So if you want to get off the, you know, Chardonnay train, Pinot Gris train, I think Pinot Gris would work with Thanksgiving also, and we are going to taste that in part 3. Give it a little rinse here. But Roussanne has a little bit of a richness to it that I think lends itself well to the savory elements of the meal. So I'm kind of a Roussanne fan. I am. Let's see what we get on the nose. So immediately you get banana. Like right off the bat I get banana and melons. Maybe a little bit of mango, papaya, and I get just an interesting little spicy note coming through. Almost perfumed a little bit. Let's see what we get on the palate. I'm kind of, you know, trying not to make these super long. I know you guys have a lot to do in the next few days, so I'd like you to watch this and just see what these wines are like and hopefully give you some ideas for Thanksgiving. It has that nice richness. You definitely get the richness on the mid palate. I'm getting a fig component kind of on the back end. And right up front, at first I thought, well, maybe a lot of apple, melon, a little bit of apple skin, but it never goes to the other side, never goes to the bitter side. It kind of hedges there a little bit, kind of scared me for a minute, but that fig component lingers. And if you want to know something, and a little bit of like fig and banana coming through on the backside, big time, with maybe a little bit of mango. Yeah, it gets a little rich on the mid palate, which I like. I'm even getting a little peach component on the back end. So it's not a sweet wine for those of you who don't want to go to the sweet side, although I do recommend it. And we are going to do a really interesting sweeter style white tomorrow on part 3. I'm looking forward to that. Riesling is a huge play in Thanksgiving. Gewürztraminer is a good play in Thanksgiving. But a lot of you don't like sweet wines. I know that. I get it. I'm in the store. I get that a lot. Well, I really don't like sweet wines. And so I understand that. So you go Roussanne. It doesn't go sweet, but it has that good fruit, nice rich mid palate, good finish. I like this one a lot. Yeah, I could see that with stuffing. I can see that with turkey. I can see that with yams. I can see that with mashed potatoes. I can see that with the green bean casserole. A lot of different things. And you know, like I said, Thanksgiving has kind of gone non-traditional in many ways. We know that. I just talked to a guy in the store today. He said, I said, happy tea day. He says, well, it's going to be a B day for me because I'm going beef. But I'm keeping this traditional. I know a lot of you guys try and experiment. But in the side dishes, really, there are a lot of them that are savory. That's perfect. I'm going to go B+ on the Writer's Block Roussanne. Now, let's move on. Klein Cashmere 2012. This rolls in at $15.50, and I got a screaming deal on this at the store. I don't want to say it here on YouTube, you know, just out of respect for Klein, but I got a screaming deal. If you are a homie, if you're one of my homies that come to my wine store and you're watching this you need to come down and get the deal that I have going on this right now, because they're changing labels. So this is Klein Cashmere, a blend of Mourvedre, Grenache, Syrah, or as they say, GSM blend. Very popular blends these days. Very Rhone style, of course. Those are all Southern Rhone varietals that they blend together. Vaccaraz, Côte de Rhone, all those areas down there. Those are the blends that they use. This is New World, of course. $15.50. You might be able to get a screaming deal if your local store snagged up the deals on the old label, because they're turning into the new label soon. Let's see what we get on the nose. So I get like a plum, raspberry, a little bit of blackberry, a little bit of black licorice. Very nice nose on this one. A little bit of underlying tobacco notes too. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is a very smooth, silky, polished wine. That's what I like about it. When you're talking turkey, you need something that's no tannins with turkey. Is kind of my motto. I know some of you don't mind that. That's okay. It's okay. I know a lot of you use a ton of butter, a lot of fat. You know, you can go a little bit of tannins. But this is just smooth. This is just badass smooth. Raspberries, plums. You get a little bit of blackberry coming through. A little bit of just a hit of licorice, and just a skosh of white pepper on the backside. This is what you call a 90% wine. I think 90% of the people who try this will like it. It doesn't go over the top fruit, but it has fruit. It's just a beautiful little wine. Even has a little herbal component right in the mid palate, almost like a little menthol coming through, but it's not prominent, but it's there. I'm getting it just a little bit. Makes this for a very interesting wine. I like it. I think it would work well with the traditional turkey meal. I'm going to go B+ on that. I think it's a beautiful wine. Always been a big fan of Klein. They do a good job for the money, especially. Let's move on. Very classic Rhone producer, Qupe, out of the central coast of California. This is their Santa Barbara County Syrah, and this rolls in at $30. So now we're getting up there a little bit, but as I talked about before, a lot of times when we're doing Thanksgiving, it's kind of a special meal. You know, maybe we have special friends over that like wine, and we want to spend just a little bit more, maybe on that first couple of bottles that we pour. Now, I am a proponent of Syrah for Thanksgiving. Not usually the one. I mean, Pinot Noir, everybody goes for that. Zin. I like Syrah because a lot of times it has a smokiness that goes well with the savory elements of the meal, and it has fruit. Classic. You just don't want one that has too many tannins to it, because that can take away from the meal. Let's see what we get. I have no idea. I have not tried this one before. I'm very excited to try this. I'm also excited to try the next one. But I like doing Syrah on Thanksgiving. It's just one of those things, you know. It's one of those things. Let's see what we get on the nose. Oh, get eucalyptus right away. Crazy. A little bit of leather coming through. Definitely blueberries. I get blueberries a little bit, just a touch of bacon fat, which is very common for Syrah. I'm getting like, it's kind of a cross between cherries and currants. Currants? Let's call them currants. I'm getting currants on the nose. A little bit of rose petal too, which I find very curious. Very nice nose on this. Very nice. I like it. Let's see what we get on the palate. A little chewy, which is, you know, have no problem with that. I get that leather currant thing coming through big time. A little bit of dark cherries. A little gamey. You know, like, reminds me of a little bit of elk burger. If that makes any sense. But not, yeah, a little bit of, it's a little gamey. Has a little bit of a roasted meat element to it. And a big pop of blueberries right on the top of the mid palate, kind of like floats. It's kind of like a, you know, roasted meats with currants and then blueberry kind of coated on the top of it. You get that big hit of blueberries. It's got some serious, not super grippy on the back end, but it has it. I think there's enough fruit there to make it. This would be like a marginal. This would be for the guy that's geeking out about Syrah and you really want it with your turkey meal. I would go here with turkey. In fact, I'm going to cork this one, put it away. I only have a couple of days till Thanksgiving. I'm going to try this with the meal. Hopefully, I remember to give you a report on how it turned out. It would conflict with some things, but I think it would be good with the stuffing. It would be good with the turkey all together. You know how we all mix it? Some of you don't mix it. I've been with, and this is, I think it's kind of weird. But there's some people, you know, they cannot mix their food. Have you ever been with somebody like that? I mean, they're seriously, they can't do it. I'm like, I throw my mashed potatoes, my gravy, my turkey, my stuffing, all together. That would be perfect. If you do that, if you're doing them separate, maybe not so much. If you're like me, you mix everything up, this would be perfect. Perfect. This is a beauty. This is a youngster too. This is a baby. This guy hasn't even gotten out of diapers yet. It needs at least 10 years. I would give it 10 years. Maybe less, maybe 5. 5 might be seeing it a little bit, changing up that you could have it, but it's good now. Don't get me wrong. It is very good now. I'm going to go A on that. That is a beautiful Syrah. Like I said, mark my words, if you mix your meals, if you mix everything together, if you don't mind putting a little turkey with your stuffing, with your mashed potatoes, with your sweet potatoes, this would be perfect. If you're like that guy that, just has to do their turkey, stuffing, olive, green bean casserole. If you're one of those guys, might not work. Just saying. But if you're doing some stinky cheese before Thanksgiving, which a lot of us do, we eat too much before the meal. That's the one. Let's move on. I had to try this one. I just had to try it. I've been looking at this bottle for like a couple of weeks going, I gotta try this. 2012, The Funk. Estate Syrah, Walla Walla Valley, Sabaya Cellars, The Funk. 96% Syrah, 4% Viognier. I always like when they put a little Viognier. It lifts the aromatics on this. Show you the label. This rolls in at $57. Not chump change. But again, once again, like I said, you might want to spend a little bit more on those first couple of bottles for Turkey Day. Let's see what we get on the nose. And I've said this many times, I'm going to stick to it, the best place to get Syrah, outside of France is Washington. Let's see what we get on the nose. Ooh, this has a little bit of that little stink action going on. A little stinky on the nose. Just deep. I mean deep. I get deep currant notes coming through. A little bit of bark, a little bit of wilted rose petal. Not the fresh. After it's kind of wilted for a while, it gets a little bit wet. It has that little wilted rose petal thing going on. Let's see what we get on the palate. I like the nose. I can tell it's just like It's a sleeping giant. You know, I opened these a while ago, but you can't decant them with the cork. I try to drink them like you would drink them, just to be quite honest. I think you probably should decant this, absolutely, no doubt about it. But still, a little bit of tobacco coming through too. Let's see what we get on the palate. I've been excited to try this. Big, but not a fruit bomb. I mean, I get that bacon fat. I get that boysenberry. I get those currants. I get black plum coming through big time. I get the rose petal, wilted rose petal on the palate. I get a spiciness, like a little white and black pepper coming through. I get the tobacco, a little bit of tobacco right on the back side. There's just a lot going on with this. I get little roasted meat coming through. This is classic. This is classic Washington Syrah. Now I have some favorites, and you know, trust me, they're wines that I can't go out and buy every day for everyday drinking. This is going to fall into one of my favorite categories. Waters Winery does one called Lois Vineyard Syrah that I really, really like. This is right up there. It's drinking really good now. This would be great. This would be awesome with Thanksgiving. It would be awesome with prime rib. That's the kind of wine it is. It's got the structure. It's got the guts, it's got the pipes to go with roast beef, but it's subtle enough to go with the traditional turkey meal. You can have it with ham. There's so many things you can have this with. You can have it all by itself. Seriously, not kidding. This is fantastic Syrah. I'm just blown away. I really am. And so it's from the Funk Estate Vineyard. Rich Funk is the winemaker, kind of curious. Wonder why they call it Funk Estate Vineyard. So it's from the Walla Walla River Alluvial Fan. It is in the, I believe it is in the Milton Freewater. Yeah, Milton Freewater, which I think is now an appellation. I haven't officially seen that, but I believe it is. It has cobbly loam soil. I mean, that whole Milton Freewater, kind of the rocks area, is amazing. I'm going to go A+. I don't do that very often. I'm doing it more lately. I've been finding some great wines. I'm going A+ on that. $57. If you want to treat yourself, I know it's a lot of money, but it's certainly worth it. And right now it's drinking beautifully, but this could easily age 10 to 20 years, easily. And it's only going to get better, which, you know, I'm going to have to put a couple of these away just to watch it develop. This is one of those wines where, it's like that kid who goes to school and he's just so flamboyant, he's so out there, he's so charismatic that someday he is going to do something big. And you watch it, eventually he's in Hollywood, he's a politician, whatever it is, hopefully in Hollywood, making big bucks. That's what this is. You just know. This is big, this is bold, this is flamboyant, this is charismatic, it's great Syrah. I'm going A+. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.